Hey guys, just a random video. I just feel like putting this out here. This is a bit rambly as my videos usually are, but I feel like this is important to talk to. For those who may know me, you know that I am frequently involved in politics. As a journalism student, I have volunteered frequently with the Liberal Party of Canada, the Federal Liberal Party of Canada. So my political views are to that of the left. So I don't condone. I mean, I meant to say I don't condemn anybody else for having different political views, as long as you're not espousing violence or racism or sexism or homophobia of any sorts, or just any sort of hatred towards other people. I don't condemn you for having that different view, as long as you're not being violent or hateful towards other people. It doesn't particularly bother me. And both sides are hypocritical of that, I would say, being hateful towards other people. We live in such a polarizing and difficult time. It's sort of hard to sort of find one united voice that can lead all of us. And that's a quality I believe that should be in a leader and a president. And Donald Trump does not fit that quality. I've never been a fan of Trump. I think he's a very poor president. He's not done much good. The only thing I can think of good that he's done is he's done some stuff with North Korea, but North Korea is still supposedly building missile silos for nuclear missiles. So he's sort of caught in this bind. But I sort of felt like talking about here tonight. In regards to the current U.S. government shutdown, it's a partial shutdown, I still believe, but over 800,000 employees are being affected. Most of them, the majority of them, are without pay right now, and this is stretching into its third week. The only government shutdown I can remember during Obama's administration, I'm too young to remember the George W. Bush presidency. I'm only able to remember sort of the key end of it, because the first time I only started really paying attention to politics, U.S. politics in particular, was the election of Obama, because it was such a big deal for an African American to be the first elected black president ever. So that was a really big deal. So that was sort of the first time I cared and paid attention to American politics, even though I was only 10 years old at the time. But I'm here tonight to sort of talk about, so Donald Trump, if you don't know, and it's been one of his biggest campaign promises, is to build the wall with Mexico. It's going to be huge. Forgive my terrible Donald Trump impression. It's estimated to sort of cost around $70 billion. That's what a lot of analysts and scholars are saying. It's going to cost around $70 billion, which is like a total waste of money. I mean, there's better ways for border security because you have everything that's digital, but that's sort of a whole another debate. And a large part of the U.S. border already has a wall around it, and that hasn't stopped illegal immigration. So even if I think Trump puts up his wall, they can just dig under it or put a ladder. Like, it's not going to do anything. And people could somehow find a way over. I remember reading the story when I was younger. There was, it's sort of related. The Berlin Wall, you had divided East Germany and West Germany. You had this East Berlin and West Berlin. You had these people in West Berlin actually make a hot air balloon to escape to the West Berlin end. So people could probably do stuff like that, as stupid as it is. And given that the U.S.-Mexico border is one of the most heavily guarded borders in the world, it probably would get shot down, but people will probably try to attempt something like that. So illegal immigration is not going to go away with this wall. I think the wall's a terrible idea. I think of how Trump's particularly been treating immigrants and illegal immigrants into the country has been very bad, separating them with their families. I do understand the need for wanting a stronger border, for proper border security. I'm totally for having a strong border security. I think how the border security functions between the United States and Canada is adequate. There hasn't been a major terrorist attack on U.S. soil since 9/11, unless you include the Boston bombings, but that was, compared to the scale of 9/11, nothing ever since this happened like that on United States soil, except for mass shootings and terrorist attacks by people. Domestic terrorism. It's not been international terrorism, but not on the scale of 9/11. This is a whole other topic. But I came here tonight in particular because Trump is running to declare a national emergency over the lack of funding that's going towards this border wall, because the Democrats now have control of the House again. They have 238 seats, I believe, and you need 216 to have a majority in the House, so they're safe within the majority. But because of Trump is wanting $5 billion for border funding, he's like being relentless, like he's not stopping to do it. And I understand trying to choose something political, but it's over something so stupid, so insignificant in the greater scheme of things. And wanting to declare a national emergency to bypass Congress is by far the most severe abuse of power that he's done so far. I mean, pardoning Joe Arpaio, the sheriff from Arizona who discriminated against Hispanic people and arrested them for no cause, for no permission, known to be very, very bad towards those type of people. And detaining children and taking them away from their families at the border is by far one of the worst things I've ever seen from a political leader in the current 21st century. Sure, there's tons and tons of worse leaders, but this is coming from the most powerful man in the world, from the country that is considered a beacon of democracy and a light for the world to follow, the shining city on the hill, as Ronald Reagan himself put it. That they're abusing human rights on this scale that's just absolutely appalling and upsetting to me. I understand detaining legal immigrants. If they venture in the country legally, they should go through the just process of maybe deporting them, but if they're there for humanitarian aid or refugee settlement, because most of these immigrants are fleeing economic persecution, religious persecution, but mainly economic and just for safety, because a lot of these Latin American countries are very violent, which is very unfortunate, which the U.S. has also had a part in, as I brought up in my Che Guevara book review, of supporting oppressive regimes that fall and lead to very bad government. So the U.S. meddling in Latin American politics has sort of led to it, so it's sort of come back to bite them in the ass, you could sort of say. So it really bothers me that he wants to do this. He wants to declare a national emergency over something so stupid and so political. It upsets me very much. I've already been very vocal about my views for my blogs on Facebook, Instagram, but I felt like coming here on tonight because I sort of want to get into this type of political reporting and to sort of be able to express my views freely. I'm absolutely disgusted by Trump's conduct overall, but that is a whole other thing. I am not a fan of Trump. I would have rather seen John Kasich. If there's going to be a Republican president, he probably would have been my preferred choice because he was somewhat level-headed out of all the Republican candidates back in 2016. But of course, people were, I'm not calling them stupid, they were just sort of seduced by his words, because the thing with authoritarian leaders is that they want to appear strong, they have a scapegoat. I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler, but it does sound a little bit like Hitler, you gotta admit that. But you've seen this with Putin, Kim Jong-un, you could even say Fidel Castro and Raul Castro. They appear to be strong, nationalistic, they have a common scapegoat they go after, and they demonize their enemies. And Trump has done every single one of those things. He's declared himself a nationalist, frequently demonizes women, minorities, and other people within his own party even, and Democrats themselves, and by calling them all these horrible names. But declaring a national emergency over funding for a stupid wall, that's not going to do anything. And there's way better ways to improve your border security instead of building a stupid freaking wall. Like, are you kidding me? Like, if it was a national emergency, let's say, like, the country's on the verge of a civil war, that's the only time I think a national emergency should be declared, or, like, there's some horrible, catastrophic hurricane or storm that, like, damages half the eastern seaboard, or, like, some devastating earthquake somewhere. That's the only time I think a national emergency should be declared. Like, what is going to happen when he declares a national emergency? Like, I don't fully understand the full grasp of it, because when I think of national emergency, I think of Abraham Lincoln spending habeas corpus during the American Civil War. I think that's one of the only times where civil rights has been suspended within the United States. I'm not talking in the context of, like, the civil rights movement in the 1960s. So I'm talking about people's rights in general, like being suspended by the government intentionally. And, well, anyway, civil rights stuff, that's a whole other discussion. They were intentionally against, but this is sort of, you've never had a president do something like this, declare a national emergency over something so stupid and so insignificant. Like, you could put so much better security, like digital, you got drones now, do so much more, and you have all these illegal immigrants within the country, and I totally understand that, but if you get rid of them, that's like $1 trillion worth of the U.S. economy just, like, gone like that. And if they're violent, if they are committing crimes, violent crimes that are not good for the country, if they're, like, predators that want to hurt people, totally kick them out of the country. Totally understand that. But if they're hardworking, normal people who abide by the law, they deserve to be within the country. But that, I can sort of understand the precedent that would set, because that might have other people who wish to immigrate into the United States illegally. So like, oh, they're being so friendly to illegal immigrants, so that does create a bit of a mess. So it is a tricky situation. So I can sort of understand Republicans' objection to giving all these illegal immigrants citizenship. The 11 million that currently exist in the United States, that is currently the rough estimate. There could possibly be even more. So I do understand that. So it's unfortunate that a lot of these people are in this gray area. The non-violent, hardworking, law-abiding, legal immigrants from the United States of America. But again, just declaring a national emergency over border funding is just one of the most stupid and insignificant things you could do. It's the most severe abuse of power. This will definitely be challenged in court. This and the travel ban from Muslim countries, I think, was probably one of the worst things they ever did. The worst abuse of power, and pardoning Joe Pirro. Trump has abused power so much. He's done so many terrible things in power. I can't think of one positive thing. As much as I don't like the Republicans, I will say the last really good one was Ronald Reagan, because Ronald Reagan, he was least positive. He saw that the U.S. had a role to play in the world to preserve and promote democracy. He saw that America should be the shining city on the hill, like Jerusalem. He saw the good in America. He was positive. The problem with Trump, he's so negative, so narcissistic, and so hateful. And as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez put it herself, saying there's no doubt that he's racist, and he's clearly a very racist man. He had Steve Bannon, who's a known alt-righter and supposed white supremacist, or white nationalist, as they'd say it. It's just Trump is a very bad man, and declaring this national emergency over a border wall that nobody wants. Well, people do want it, but it's stupid. There's other better ways for border security. It's just unconstitutional, and this is grounds for impeachment, but he's not going to get impeached because the Republicans control the Senate. Even though the Democrats control the House and they can run as many investigations as they want, the Senate still has the key power, and they need a supermajority in the Senate to impeach a president. So I don't think Trump's going to get impeached. Will someone challenge him in 2020 in the Republican primaries? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Pence himself is trying to line himself up for 2020. If something happens to Trump within the next 2 years, I don't know. It's 2019 now. Let's say something happens later this year or in 2020 that actually does lead him to resigning or getting impeached, which I highly doubt is going to happen. But you never know. 2020 is very undecided, I'd say. It's going to be the most decisive U.S. election ever, I think, in my opinion. It's either going to make or break the country. It's the national referendum on Donald Trump and the Republicans themselves. It could be the final nail in the coffin for them, or the final solidifying power that the Republicans need to control America for the next 6 to 8 years. So I felt like coming on here to just make this quick video. I think the border wall is such a stupid and terrible idea. There's better ways to invest in border security. All this stuff is digital. There's better ways to track. Trump needs to treat illegal immigrants better, not separating from their families. If they are, I'm okay with them being detained, but their human rights need to be respected. They need to be treated with dignity and respect as they are human beings, and there's nothing that separates us from them besides language and their skin color. But at the very end of the day, they are human, and they are human beings, and they have emotions and needs and wants just like you and me. They are people. It doesn't matter what their skin color, language, gender, sexual orientation, economic status, just who they are, it doesn't matter. It just matters that they're good and respectful people, and we deserve to treat them as such. How you treat people, I can't remember how the quote exactly goes, but how do you want to be treated by people? You want to be treated nicely? Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but just again, the border wall and declaring a national emergency, I think, is one of the most severe abuses of power Trump has done so far in office, and maybe by far the worst, declaring a national emergency over something so political and so petty. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this brief sort of rant I made. I just want to get my thoughts out there about this ongoing situation, and I hope you all have a great day.